Alright, hey guys. It's another week of videos for the future of the U.S. You might see this. I had a person here before. He was just there. Well, today we're going to talk about, me and my father, right here next to me, are going to talk about illegal immigration. Those of you who do know, for today when I'm doing the video, it is Tuesday, and there was a national debate for the Republican Party talking about the national security. They talked about illegal immigration. What are they doing with all Middle Eastern affairs, such like Syria and all the rebellions and protests that is going on down there in the Middle East, or to the side of us would be the better words to use for that. So we're going to just jump into this very quickly, try to make this a short video, maybe long, so just be prepared. So basically, currently now in the US, there is about 12 to 20 million illegal immigrants. About 50% of those are in 3 states. California, where I live, it's 25%. In Texas, 14%. And the rest of that 50% would be in Florida. Makes up about 6 to 4% of our population, the U.S., which is about 3 million people. And that's a pretty decent size of the U.S.'s population, I guess, would be in that ethnic group. So a lot of things that people talk about is legal immigration. It costs a lot of money just to have them here, which I'm actually not quite sure why. Do you know why that? Why would people say that it costs money for illegal immigrants to stay here?
Sure. Your status in the U.S. is not tied into any kind of legal documentation that you're supposed to have. So depending on the situation, whether or not you have, dare I say, illegal documentation that you produce somehow, or you show up in emergency rooms for emergency medical services. Sometimes, if you have children that are born in the United States, they're legal. So if they qualify for any kind of government assistance, welfare, AFDC, Medi-Cal, Medicare, then they would be able to qualify for services as well. So that's the one side of the argument, is that illegal immigrants is specifically when you're talking about folks that are a little bit more modest in terms of their income that they're able to derive here in the U.S., might tend to use governmental services more, and therefore becomes a drag in the United States. The opposing argument is that they provide to the overall production of the U.S. because workers are needed. That's why they're here, because there's a demand for them. And then because they do come to the U.S., and the majority of illegal immigrants, believe it or not, use some sort of identification. More often than not, they're fake identification. So in a odd sense, they are representing themselves as someone else. They will never get that benefit, either Social Security or other types of taxes that they pay into. And so that is being contributed fictitiously. And they never receive that benefit, but they still have to pay it in order to essentially work for a living if they have a quasi formal job, as opposed to people that might just work on a day laborer situation. So there's 2 sides of that story. Yes, they do cost money, but you can also make an argument that there's probably the same amount of folks, the same level of income that they generate through taxes and through other means, because illegal or not, that individual is going to use the money they generate in order to buy stuff here in the U.S. And so you have to kind of quantify that. That's a benefit to our economy whenever someone is buying something, even though they may not be buying as much as people that are making more money.
Okay, so all valid points. We're going to move on to a different part of this topic here. It's about unskilled labor force. The main reason that people talk about illegal immigration, everybody moving across the borders between the U.S. and Mexico, And these people are working. They're coming here for a better working situation. For better pay. And one thing that people really, really, really dislike is that they believe they're going to take everyone's job. Now, when you think of unskilled labor force, you think of farming and gardening and all the stuff that you would stereotypically place people of that stature. When you see that, it's like, why are you getting angry? Would you spend 14 to 13 hours that they spend outside farming? Would you spend all that time gardening? Would you spend all that time, picking up garbage? I know a lot of people, some people in the U.S. do that, but majority of them, like the 99%, do not. That they are protesting that they don't have a job, but it's because they're too lazy to do so. That is one reason people are angry. And it really does, to me, it really doesn't make any sense. Get it out. Just start working. I want to see people that actually are willing to work and work at a farm instead of having, farmers to go to unskilled labor forces, illegal immigration to get that workforce. I want to see people like that to work there. I don't see people doing that nowadays. I know my father actually did do this when he first came to the U.S. from the Philippines. Do you have any personal accounts of how hard it is to work during a work environment like a farm, picking grapes or just doing that whole labor thing?
Sure. Well, I think anyone that's ever had a summer job that was less than optimal can appreciate it at some degree, but it is difficult. It is difficult to find people to find work in those types of conditions for that type of pay. If you expand out that argument or situation a little bit more, it also does affect the quote-unquote normal folks, because a generation ago, construction jobs, janitorial service positions were very sought after. And what's happened in the last 20 years or so, similar to outsourcing, is that a lot of companies have now outsourced their ancillary jobs, whether or not they're janitorial services, other kind of contracting bits in the construction industry, to independent contractors. And so they in turn will try to cut their costs and try to get the lowest labor costs possible in order to honor that bid and make a profit out of it. Mm-hmm. So there's a push down in terms of labor costs, and that's what pushes the demand a bit for illegal immigration as well, because at that point you just need, really at that point you do have skilled laborers that are carpenters, that are in construction industry jobs that are needed, but how they end up getting hired is through their general contractors and subcontractors that are only answering to the developer at that point. So that's a small example of how, as a carpenter, maybe I was in a union, maybe I was earning a good salary a generation ago, 10 years ago, but maybe now, if there was a position, I may not necessarily be able to secure that. So that's the complexity of having a legal immigration problem, which is, one is, yes, there are positions that people do not want to work in, but the other component is that because there is an abundance of more people that are willing to do those types of positions, the pay that they would normally garner keeps being pushed down, because as with any other parts of the free market system, the more resources, the more stuff you have of anything, then that stuff, whether or not it's money or people working or things you want, becomes cheaper. Mm-hmm. And so that's the other component of it too. And so it just depends on how you look at it in terms of whether or not it's good to have illegal immigrants here because the labor force is needed, which is to a certain extent yes, but there's also other pressures creating that demand as well that isn't necessarily just because people don't want to work difficult jobs.
Okay. Well, looks like we're going to try to end it here, you guys. Ending note would probably be that the U.S. has pretty much done its job on sealing the borders, which I do applaud. Though illegal immigration to me is probably not the biggest issue. You should probably want to do something more with local police forces per se, because our border patrol and stuff like that would probably be something that you might want to fund and for the U.S. government. But anyways, the U.S. has pretty much dropped the illegal immigration in the past few years. It's dropped from 850,000 a year to 300,000 a year. So thank you, Border Patrol. So we're gonna try to end the video here, you guys. Sorry for the lengthy video. Thank you, Dad, for talking to us about illegal immigration. Well, you guys, same as always, like, comment, subscribe. Give me a good comment this time. I'm just kidding. I like the other guy. That was a pretty good one. So anyways, please like and subscribe. Like our Facebook page. It's down there in the description. Like the button over there. Forward, watch later if it was too long. When you have longer time, if maybe you didn't even see the end of this video. Alright, you guys, I want to say thank you to everybody who watches this. And you know what? You're watching the future of the U.S. Stand up. Alright, you guys. I'll see you later.